What's going on, everybody? So I wanted to do a quick video over something I've been working on that's kind of near and dear to my heart. I don't have very many people in here yet, so I'm just going to start though and then kick this out, and hopefully some people will join in. So if you guys have been watching my channel, which I hope you have, a couple weeks back I posted a short video asking for some donations for a reunion. So what this reunion is the Marines and Sailors of 1st Battalion, 4th Marines during the initial push into Iraq in 2003. And then we subsequently went back in 2004. And during that deployment in August 2004, we got heavily engaged in the Najaf cemetery. Now, if you guys don't know what the Najaf cemetery is, it's literally like the largest cemetery in the world. It's a Shia Muslim cemetery, and people from all over the Muslim world will actually take freaking pilgrimages there and bury their dead there. So it's just a massive cemetery. And the short of the scenario is the Mahdi army, led by a radical Shia cleric called Muqtada al-Sadr, had his own little thug Mahdi army that was backed by the Iranians. And they were starting some shit in Najaf. They were attacking Iraqi police stations. The governor of Najaf had asked for the 11th Marine Expeditionary Unit, which consisted of 1st Battalion, 4th Marines, to essentially step in and help the Iraqi police. And the thing snowballed, and next thing you know, we were pushing into this old 1,000-year-old cemetery, taking the fight to the enemy. So if you guys can imagine the absolute worst possible mount environment. So, I mean, just think of the worst possible urban setting that you could fight in, and that's in the Najaf cemetery. Literally, there are catacombs, tombs, and the place is just overcrowded. It's just you're climbing over tombstones and tombs and cellars, and literally we had Mahdi militiamen popping up beneath us, in front of us, behind us. I mean, it was absolutely nuts. But nonetheless, pushing that cemetery, taking the fight to the enemy, we overcame them. We surrounded them, and over a month of just straight fighting in the city and surrounding cities, essentially it came to the Mahdi army surrendering. They surrendered all their weapons. A deal was brokered. So the unfortunate aspect of it is that the Mahdi militiamen that were remaining were allowed to walk away. Vice, they had to leave all their weapons and equipment. So essentially, that was part of the deal. The remaining guys got to fucking walk away free, which I don't agree with. I think we should slaughter all of them, but that's politics. But nonetheless, all their weapons and equipment was confiscated by us after a month of just bitter fighting in and around the cemetery. So what I'm saying that is to say this, guys. We're having this August is going to mark the 20-year anniversary of that. And we were coming upon the reunion, and there really wasn't a large-scale battalion reunion being planned by anybody. So I just took up the reins. I freaking took hold of it, and I said, "Fuck it, I'm going to do it. If nobody else can do it, I'll do it." I started putting it together. I made some phone calls. Being a Marine Sergeant Major, had some connections, and I got subsequently put in contact with a group called Legacy Military Reunions, and these guys were. The owners or founders of the group were Marines from 2-1, 2nd Battalion, 1st Marines at Camp Horno. They had fought in Fallujah, and they had just done a reunion recently. So they started a nonprofit reunion organization, and I was put in contact with those guys, and those guys have been phenomenal, and they're helping me organize everything. And part of doing this, guys, is obviously raising funds to put this reunion on. So it's consumed a lot of my time, having to make phone calls and work things out and get shit arranged. All right. There's a lot of stuff that goes into a reunion. I want this to be an amazing reunion for those Marines and sailors of 1st Battalion, 4th Marines. So part of that is putting together in the morning time. We're going to do a memorial hump up to the top of this memorial that overlooks Camp Horno and Camp Pendleton. Camp Horno is where all 1st Marines is. So you're the infantry battalions that make up 1st Marines. You got 1-1, 2-1, 3-1, and 1-4 there. And the memorial overlooks Camp Horno, where those Marines are. And back in our day, freaking 20 years ago after we came back from that deployment. Like one cross was there. Well, now multiple crosses there. You know, we're talking, you know, after 2 decades of global war on terrorism. So the morning of this reunion is going to start with a hike up to the top of that memorial, pay respects to our fallen, and we're going to hike back down, have some you know, social and some drinks and some static displays and modern day Marines and equipment. And then that evening, we've got a venue where the Marines are going to go, you know, eat, drink, have a good time. And part of that is, you know, paying for the food, the beer, some swag, stuff like that. So to help raise funds, obviously donations are welcome. And that was what my previous video was. I asked for, you know, people to donate if they could. And a lot of people did. And it raised about $3,000, which is amazing. But it's still short when you think about, hey, I got to provide catering to, you know, 100 plus to 200 freaking Marines, you know, and this is for the whole battalion. So that number might even grow even further. So came up with some combat swag, guys, freaking battalion t-shirts to commemorate our fight in the Najaf cemetery. And those went live today. So what I'm asking for you guys, if you're interested, we've got some 1st Battalion, 4th Marines combat swag. I'm going to pull some of that stuff up so you guys can see it. But, you know, it's going to say like 20-year reunion on it, 1st Battalion, 4th Marines and stuff like that. But I don't want you guys to – some people might feel weird about wearing that stuff if they weren't part of the unit or they weren't there, right? And what I want to say to you guys is, no, like quite the opposite. I want people to wear this stuff. I want there to be more awareness of our fight in the Marines and sailors that we lost in that battle, and just OIF 1 and OIF 2. I want people to get more awareness because Najaf at the time, the Battle of Najaf, our fight was the biggest freaking engagement since the end of the 2003 Iraq invasion. But what happened a few months later? Freaking the second battle of Fallujah took place, and obviously our battle and our fight got overshadowed. So, you know, it is what it is. So, but you know what the Marines and sailors did in that battle and the Battle of Najaf and that Najaf cemetery is just amazing. Considering what those Marines and sailors went into that cemetery, that environment from hell, and took the fight to the enemy is just fucking amazing. So, some of this swag is stuff that, you know, I kind of wasn't that I wanted to do. I had it in my head, like what I wanted to put on a battalion t-shirt to commemorate this battle. And let me pull this up for you guys so you can see what I'm talking about. Give me 1 second, guys. Bear with me. And I'll get to like asking or taking questions here in a minute, guys. I just want to pull some of this stuff up. Where is this? There we go. See, one of the benefits of when you do this stuff and you got other people in is when you have these lull times, all eyes aren't on you. So it now enables me to pull shit up while other people are talking. All right, guys. So here is option number 1. So there's two options. Okay. So if you look at this, what's going on here is that is a really multiple pictures of the Najaf cemetery consolidated and put into one image. And what I wanted to recreate here was the iconic illustration from Belleau Wood. You have the World War I Marines in Belleau Wood in World War I bayoneting that German. I wanted to recreate that. I wanted to give it like a Battle Najaf twist to it. And that's what you see right there. So obviously that's a Mahdi militiaman, RPG and AKs on the ground. There's a main road that runs through the cemetery. And on that main road was CAT, Combined Anti-Armor Team. So they're up armored Humvees. And there was also, we had tanks as part of the 11th Marine Expeditionary Unit. They made it into the fight. So we did have some Abrams tanks in support of us during that push. And you can just see the Devil Dogs freaking hooking and jabbing there. So that all started with a kind of a concept, a doodle per se. I was sitting down in my head, and like, how do I want to do this? I started doodling it out. And oh, hey, real quick, guys. Henry, thank you for kicking in that donation. Do not do super chats, though. What happens is the communists at YouTube take 30% of super chats. So anything you guys donate via like super chats or YouTube's going to take their fucking percentage, and it screws the warfighters out of it. All right. I put some links in the description box. Please go to that Legacy Military Unions links and donate there. But Henry, I appreciate that, brother. So anyways, back to the design. So that's what's going on. That's what I wanted to recreate. I wanted to recreate that Bellow Wood Marine bayoneting the German, but with a, an OIF 2 Battle Najaf twist to it. Reached out to DJ the Metalhead Mercenary, who's in here. Welcome, brother. Appreciate you. I sent him some pictures of our devil dogs out in the cemetery, hooking and jabbing. And, I knew he did some graphic designing and stuff like that, and said, hey, man, can you put some stuff together? And he came up with this for me. So, yeah, I'm impressed with the way it came out. On the front is our battalion logo. And then on one side of the sleeve, you guys see reverse American flag, and the other side is Marine Corps emblem. All right. So that is one option. So we have the hoodies. They're in black and white. So if you like the white hoodie better, you can do that option. And again, guys, all profits for these the swag sales go towards the reunion. So obviously there's an overhead, right? So the company that's making this shit for us, they got to get paid for their shirt, but the profit for the shirt goes directly to our reunion. All right. So that's one option. And white hoodie. Okay. Now let's talk about the t-shirts. This is another option. So you guys can see it's that's not the 1st Battalion, 4th Marines logo, but it's like an altered logo, right? So it's got the 1st Marine Division logo in the middle. Freaking blue diamond, says Iraq. And then it's got the 1-4 dragon. Now the significance with the dragon associated with 1st Battalion, 4th Marines is 1-4 used to be in China. So they're often referred to as the China Marines. So that's the significance of the dragon on our battalion logo. So that's just an alternate version of the shirt. So essentially, what happened is I took a poll of some different designs, and this one and the one that I came up with were kind of the two leading designs. So originally, it was going to have to pick one. But, with these being so close and guys wanting them, we're like, fuck it. Let's try to do both. So that's what we're doing. So if you like this one better, obviously you can go this route or get both of them. I don't give a shit. The more you buy, the better. There's a freaking OD green, Marine Corps green option. On this one, the thing is, though, is it's going to say Legacy Military Reunions on one arm. So this was kind of the one that Legacy Military Reunions is kind of pimping for us. So, the bayoneting, it is a nonprofit organization. So there was some, really couldn't push that shirt too much. So that's why the Marine Corps emblem's on the other one. And on this one, they're going to have their logo on it. So again, another option. I thought the white on the green looked really good. There's a white shirt. So those are your three colors: black, white, and OD green. All right. Now we're back to, my concept here. And this one I really like, guys. I like them both, but this one I'm, heavily invested with, because my doodle, the concept I came up with, and then, DJ put it all into, art. But this one has the traditional 1-4 logo on the front, as you guys can see. It says 20th anniversary Battle of Najaf, August 2004. Marine Corps emblem on one sleeve and the reverse American flag on the other. And this is going to be in black, OD green, and freaking white. So, but that is our swag, guys. So again, all the proceeds for buying these shirts are going to go directly to our reunion. Ideally, what I want to do is, obviously I have needs and would like to have, right? So like I need to pay for catering. I need to pay for chow and stuff like that at the event. I would like to have a couple kegs for the Marines to drink for free at the event. So rather than have to buy, fucking $6 beers and stuff at a bar, They're just going to have a keg that can go and fill their goddamn canteen cup or whatever they got. So that's what we got right now, guys. If you don't want any of the swag, hey, it is what it is. Freaking, and you still want to help contribute, there's just straight up donations. And you guys can see in the information box, by all means, man, go up there and donate if you want to help pay for some freaking Marines to reunite, reminisce, and get somewhat intoxicated, catching up with old buddies, man. Some of these guys I haven't seen or talked to in 20 years, man. I can't wait. So that's what I wanted to do, guys. I want to jump on here, go live, and this is taking up a lot of my time. So obviously it's cut into my YouTube abilities to put out content, which, it is what it is. So I work full time. I'm also in the Marine Corps Reserves and, do YouTube on the side as a hobby. And then obviously I got to, plan this amazing event for these war fighters. So if anybody's got any questions, you can go ahead and throw them out there. I'm all ears. A few things I got coming down the pipe for the channel. I've got several projects that I've already filmed. I just got to sit down and get them taken care of. I got some reviews on some chest rigs. I've got some a ghillie suit review got to finish up. I filmed with Bruce Camp Armament, a Korean War uniform, gear, weapons, equipment video. That one is literally last on my back burner. The reason being, not because I'm not excited about it. I'm absolutely excited to get to it, but I know just from my experience in doing some of the other similar type videos over Vietnam uniform, gear, weapons, equipment, that those videos just take forever to edit and put everything together. And if you guys haven't figured it out, I'm freaking a one-man show, guys. It's just me. I don't have no team of editors or anything. My editing software is from like 2018. Yeah, I need to upgrade, but I haven't. My camera's fucking old as shit. I am not I am a legitimate YouTuber, guys. Back in the day, like what they're supposed to be. So nowadays, everybody's got like fucking companies and professional film people and editors and all this other stuff. Like I am not at that level. And it is what it is. So yeah, man, I know there's I see somebody in here, the Gentleman Warrior, can't wait for the Korean War uniform video. Yeah, man, I know there's a lot of people that are excited about that video. It's something I wanted to do for a long time. Definitely a long time. I've been getting gear and collecting stuff for years. It's kind of like with the Mac v SOG video, guys. Those videos take years to accumulate all that stuff. So when I get that idea in my head and I start buying stuff, it takes a long time, because where do I get that stuff? You can't just go to a freaking surplus store and like buy every little item that you need. No, it doesn't work that way. You got to go on eBay, you got to go on Gunbroker, you got to go on all kinds of places and look and wait. A lot of times you got to wait. There's items out there that you got to pick up. If you want a complete thorough video, you got to get certain things, and sometimes they're just not there. You just got to keep an eye out, checking eBay every single day for, little minute items. So pain in the ass, guys. It costs a lot of damn money. Surplus market and like collecting stuff has just gone through the roof. The Vietnam gear, fucking unbelievably expensive now. It's amazing. You used to be able to go to a surplus store and probably get like an old, M1956 style canteen pouch for, maybe $5 in like a bargain bin. Now that shit's probably like $20 each. It's crazy how the gear prices have just shot through the roof. And even GWAT, I did the uniform, gear, weapons, equipment of 1st Battalion, 4th Marines. All right. If you want to freaking get another in-depth review of our Marines and gear and equipment that we had during the OIF 2, check out that video. But that took me a long time to accumulate stuff. And I had a bunch of it already, obviously, because it was on my own stuff. But even that gear has gone through the roof. Buying woodland equipment, the Molly 2 Interceptor vest, prices on that have gone through the roof. The Fighting Lube carriers and OD and, woodland and stuff, all that. The one thing you can still pretty much get on the cheap, UCP. So if you're a UCP, Universal Camouflage Pattern, a lot of people call it ACU, but that's the name of the actual uniform cut, not the camouflage pattern. But if you like that shit, you can still get that stuff. Let's see what else we got. SIF what? Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, long time ago, civilians pretty much took over supply, and they call it CIF. I think it's Consolidated Issue Facility. And they can be freaking Nazis, man, about turning in gear. Like, that stuff has to be spotless. And I'll tell you guys a quick story. So I came back from OIF 2, and at that time I had a Woodland Molly 2 Interceptor flak vest. All right, and at this time, the Coyote Interceptor was the latest and greatest gear that was getting issued out, and it had been so since I think 2003. There's some Marines in the Iraq invasion in 2003 that had Coyote vest. I think for the most part, most of us had the Woodland flags. Probably just depends on what unit you're looking at for that. But for us, it was just a sprinkle of guys that had Coyote flags during 2003. We came back and we immediately jumped into a workup to go back for OIF 2, and it jumped from like the vast majority of us having Woodland flags to probably about 50% of the guys now had the new Coyote flags. So anyways, I come back from deployment, and I've got this Woodland Molly 2 Interceptor flak vest that I had gone 2 combat tours of Iraq with, and I'm going to turn it in. There's a civilian behind the desk in there, and I'm watching him. I'm watching these guys pull the ballistic panels out of the vest, and they're taking the Woodland Interceptors and they're throwing them into a bin. Anybody that had Coyote, right, they just put that off the side because that was going to get reissued. But the old Woodland ones, they were throwing in a bin to go to Dermo. And Dermo is like where all the old shit goes to be sold off at auction to, surplus companies and stuff. So I saw this, and I'm like pleading with the guy. Now you guys got to remember, this is early 2005 at this point. There was not like Woodland Interceptor vest on the civilian market at that time. The Interceptor was relatively new. Like, if you went to a surplus store, you could probably find a bunch of old Pasgate vests, but you weren't going to find Interceptor vests. So there's no way in hell I could go out in town, buy a Woodland Interceptor vest and turn that in as the one that I was issued to keep my original one. There's no way I could do that. So I'm in there and like I'm watching them throw all these old Woodland fucking flat covers into the Dermo box, and I look at the guy. I'm like, dude, I was like, I went through 2 combat deployments with this flag. I was like, I know this is going to Dermo. Is there any way I can keep this flag? Cover, not the ballistic panels. I had no illusion that I was gonna be able to keep those. But I was just like, dude, you're sending it to Dermo. They're gonna freaking throw it away anyways, or auction off, whatever they're gonna do with it. Like, can I just keep the freaking flat cover since I went to war twice with it? And the guy's like, no. He fucking took my shit, threw it in his box. I'm like, motherfucker. So yeah, that was a swift kick to the balls, guys. So I don't know, maybe other people are different, like, but for me, going to war and something, like, I want it, right? Fucking Kevlar helmet, same boat. I had the Pasgate helmet, went through the initial invasion in 2003 with it. Same helmet that our guys had in like Desert Storm, single chin strap. Go through the whole first deployment with it. Come home, jump into a workup, do the workup cycle, redeploy OIF 2. Within a month of us getting into theater, Battle on Najaf kicks off. So go through the whole freaking Battle on Najaf, hooking and jabbing with the Mahdi Army with this same Kevlar helmet. So my plan was, on my first deployment, at one point, we occupied this UN building. And there's a bunch of rooms, and it was, stuff was just scattered all over the place. And I found a bright blue UN Kevlar helmet. It had UN, in white stencil on it, and the exact same helmet that we were issued. But, it was a UN Kevlar. So I picked this sucker up and I threw it in my pack back in OIF 1. I took it home. And my plan was, because it was the same size and everything, my plan was when I got home from my second deployment, I was going to paint this bitch green, and I was going to turn that in so I could keep my war Kevlar, right? So I could freaking keep something. Well, that plan went to shit because in the middle of Iraq in OIF 2, they came out with a new lighter weight Kevlar helmet, and this one had a different suspension system. It's probably made out of a little bit better, protective materials and stuff. But if you guys ever see it, it's got a different suspension system, and it has like in the back there's like a nape strap that's got a Marine Corps emblem on it, and a green chin strap. So I believe it is 4-point. If you guys watched, I did a Marine body armor video. You guys can see the progression of the helmets. But they issued that to us in OIF 2 like halfway through our deployment, and I'm like, son of a bitch. So this my plan went to hell, guys. I didn't get to keep my freaking helmet. I had to turn it in, and they gave me the new lightweight helmet, which whatever, it's more protection, but like, for guys that like played sports and stuff in high school or post high school and college or whatever, like sometimes when you do that stuff, like you get superstitious, like, oh fucking, this is my lucky hat. It's the same in combat. Right, this is my helmet. This helmet got me through the invasion. This helmet got me through the battle of Najaf. Like, I want this helmet. Screw your whatever else you're trying to give me. This is my lucky helmet. It's fucking protecting my head. So that's kind of the mindset. But I had to give this sucker up, and so I lost it, man. I lost that helmet. It kills me to this day because I know that helmet didn't make its way back to the United States. I know all it did is just get sent to some Iraqi National Guard unit and get issued to some freaking Iraqi National Guardsmen, and who knows? They freaking made shawarmas in my old Pasga helmet. So that's my story about my Kevlar and how I lost it, and how I lost my flak vest. So most of that type of stuff that I have is not my original shit. It's all stuff I had to buy after the fact. So yeah, see, one guy says I got my gas mask and wore it during the invasion. I don't know. So I'd be interested to know how you pulled that one off. Because I think the gas masks at the time that we had were relatively new. I'm not sure how long they'd been in service, but they replaced, I believe, the M17s. So, yeah, one guy says you didn't have to turn it in; they take cash. Well, it's kind of hard to try to pull the like combat loss card for something like a Kevlar helmet, unless you're talking about bribing, and I wasn't about to do that. So that's all I needed. You make it through two combat deployments in Iraq, and then get hemmed up for trying to bribe a freaking SIF worker to keep some gear. It's similar to my first deployment. We occupied this old Iraqi pistol factory. And a lot of people don't know this, but Iraq actually had a contract with Beretta, and they were producing their own domestic version of a 92 FS. So essentially like an M9 pistol. Very, very similar. Looked very similar. So we occupied this old pistol factory, and this is right after the invasion. So there's no fobs, right? We had to make the fobs. We had to build them. So we occupied the pistol factory, and we're cleaning out rooms, and we're doing everything. 03 is just like 03XX fucking can do anything. We turn from not just doing, protection of the site, but we turn into like, home renovators and stuff, clearing out buildings and turning this stuff into barracks. But I had found in a slide to an Iraqi 92 FS. And on that slide, it said made in Iraq, and it had, Arabic writing and stuff on it. It was the coolest thing. And I never tried it. I never tried to, swap out my M9 upper slide to see if it would fit. It may or may not have. I don't know. But it looked just like an M9's upper slide. But I wanted to take this thing home so bad. I held it the whole time. And then we get towards the end of our deployment. We're getting ready for retrograde. And, they pretty much said like, hey, nobody better have any war trophies on them. If you have war trophies on you, you're going to get fucked up. You're going to get hemmed up. And our company gunny came out, and he's like, if I catch any one of you motherfuckers with war trophies and you delay us from, going back to the States because of you and blah, blah, blah. He's like, I'm going to F you up and this, that, and the other. And I was like, damn it. So I had to ditch my slide. So there was just so many things, guys, that, I wish I could have brought back. And it drives me absolutely nuts because in Vietnam, those guys could could get weapons and they could register them and send them back. So, I mean, there's a handful of like bring back SKSs and Mosin Nagants and, weapons like that, civilian legal rifles that were, found in war or, whatever the story associated with them. They were found in combat zone and shipped back legally, per those veterans that were over there in country. And at some point they stopped all that. They stopped allowing that. And it's just, it's ridiculous in my opinion. If you freaking, at some point come across a freaking Mauser. We had in my second deployment, we had several Mausers that we found in a weapons cache. Now, knowing what I know now, I think they were Yugoslavian Mausers, but what's the harm in Marines being able to register those and send those back? So the only thing I can think of is, they think that guys would be, narrow-minded and take their mind off their work if they're, hunting for war trophies. But like, fucking war trophies are just part of work. So I remember trying to send back an Iraqi gas mask and a bayonet for my first deployment that I had acquired on the battlefield. And I tried to send it back in a box, and some freaking postmaster Marine was going through the stuff, and he picks up my gas mask. He's like, "Oh, you can have the gas mask, but you can't have the filter." So he unscrews that and throws it away. And then it sees my bayonet. He's like, "Oh, you can't have this." Takes my freaking bayonet from me. And I'm like, "You motherfucker," because I'm sure that bayonet, was disposed of properly, and it didn't end up in his seat bag. But yeah, in OIF 1, they wouldn't let us take freaking bayonets back. And then when I came back in OIF 2, they were allowing bayonets. So I don't know. All I know is you guys got to go through customs as a serviceman, U.S. serviceman. You got to go through freaking customs to retrograde back to the States. That's how it was back then too. So, let's see. DJ says, I brought back one of the infamous red and white checkered schmogs from a guy who didn't need it anymore. Good stuff. Good stuff. What else we got? I have an Iraqi flag I took from the pistol factory, bro. Well, who are you? Who are you, devil? You must be a 1-4 Marine. And if you are a 1-4 Marine, are you going to the reunion? That's what I want to know. Years ago, I picked up an M17A1 mask with a carrier, decon kit, and hood at my local Army Navy store for about $20 to $30 at the time. Yeah, even those things. Oh, Campbell, what's up, brother? Are you going to the reunion or what? Better freaking go to the reunion. It's gonna be fucking the best. So I'm bringing my experience, guys. As an 89, 99 in the Marine Corps, company first sergeant in the reserve side of the house, like you plan Marine Corps balls. For those of you who don't know, every year for the Marine Corps birthday, November 10th, around that time frame, each unit puts on their own birthday ball. Hell yeah, man. Look forward to seeing you again. But every unit puts together a birthday ball for celebration of Marine Corps birthday. So in the reserve side, I'm sure it's similar on the active duty side. The reserve side, the reserve first sergeant is like a heavy lifter in that, if he's worth a shit. Some guys will just, they'll form big ball committees and, they might be hands off, but like I wasn't. I wanted, my tentacles in the ball because I wanted to make sure the ball was good. I loved the ball. I was never one of those Marines that, didn't like the balls. The Marine Corps ball is just phenomenal. It's a celebration of our birthday. Marines putting on their dress blues. You go out there, you freaking have an amazing ceremony. You get a quality meal, and then Marines just drink and just have a fantastic time. Marine Corps was born in a bar, guys. So if you're going to be a Marine and you don't like alcohol, then you are absolutely an oddball. But as a company first sergeant, I had two Marine Corps balls that I was firmly in charge of carrying those out. And during those times, I think, and obviously I'm biased, but I think that was the best balls those Marines ever experienced. So one year I freaking had 2 kegs, bought 2 kegs, and worked it out with the venue to where the bars there, the bartenders would serve the keg beer to the Marines, no cost because it was already paid for. And for part of the gift that year was a oh hell, I got it right behind me. Yeah, the gift that year for the ball was this canteen cup with the unit logo on it. And so the Marines were given those canteen cups, and they would go to the bartender, and they'd be like, "Hey, freaking, whatever the beer was that we had on tap in those kegs," and they would just refill their canteen cup. So, Marines that dress blues, drink from the canteen cup, free beer, freaking best ball ever. So I want to emulate that to some capacity with this reunion. I want to get some kegs so that those Marines and sailors that are coming back for this reunion don't have to buy any drinks. They can go up there. If they want mixed drinks, fine. They can go up to the bartender and pay for mixed drinks. But I want the beer to flow like water. I want the Devil Dogs to drink as much as they want. Obviously, be responsible leaving the venue when it's all said and done. But I don't want Marines having to pay for drinks. So your contributions in the form of either donations or buying swag will help go towards making that dream become reality, guys. So let's see. Let's read this comment. It says, are you accepting mail from subscribers? I would like to send you some items from the Continental Marine video, as well as the Alice equipment you could use for SNS in your area. So it depends, guys. I typically don't take mail from people that I don't know because there's a lot involved with that. I got to give out personal information to receive stuff. So typically I only will receive stuff from people I know. So so for the most part, no. So I do appreciate the offers. Plus, guys, I have a lot of projects on my plate right now. Again, all my projects that I currently have on my plate are all filmed. But the editing, if you don't know, if you're not a YouTuber or been involved in any type of YouTube stuff, the editing takes all your time. Filming is the easy thing. Filming is no problem. You can go out in the woods for what I do. Go out in the woods, put on some freaking camis, some gear, some face paint, and get to work, right? Film, and you're done. Then you come back, and then you got to sit down, and you're firing up the editing software, and you're like, oh, God. Hours of work, guys. It sucks. That's why all these big time people, they don't edit. Most of them, they don't edit their own stuff. They pay people to do it for them. So plus it's a skill set, right? So you got to know how to use that software. So I look at some of the I've tried to do the skits, right? A lot of people love the skits I do, but if you really know about editing and you look at my skits, it's basic. It's basic. I've gotten better over the years, but I can't do amazing stuff. I do basic stuff, and I just do it the best I can, and it looks all right in my opinion. It must look all right to a lot of people because some of those videos with skits I've done have gotten millions of views, particularly the Vietnam oriented ones. Let's see. Yeah, one guy says we got your bail money. That's all right. That's all right. I'm not gonna end up like freaking Gunny Hobway in the drunk tank. So if that happens, I've got a lot of issues, guys, because my careers will go down the drain. What else we got? I didn't intend for this to be a super long stream, guys, but I'm down to talk for a little while as long as my coffee's still in my cup here. I will tell you all this. If you're contributing towards the reunion, I do plan to do a little filming of it. Obviously, I'm going to be partaking. So when you partake, I can't like filming a reunion is not my top priority, right? I want to go there. I want to, reunite with those guys and experience it. So I don't want to be sitting there thinking I need to get good video of this. No, that's not what I'm going to be doing. There is going to be a videographer recording everything. So that video will be posted out, and I'll obviously post that in the community section. So we'll definitely try to get as much video as I can. I'm taking my old lady so maybe she'll film some of it, and then I can put that up in a the video for you guys to see. So it's going to be an amazing event. Getting a bunch of these guys back together and seeing them. Again, most of those guys haven't seen in 2 decades, and it's not just the people I know. The people I know are primarily in Bravo Company because that was the rifle company I was with. But we got all the rifle companies coming out, or at least guys from them. So, battalion of Marines. I don't know how many of them are actually going to show up. Definitely not going to get the full battalion out there, but it's definitely open to the full battalion. So tracking dudes down is not easy. That is the wonders of Facebook. Facebook has facilitated being able to do that to some degree. So what else we got? As long as I get some questions, guys, I'll stay in the fight here. But once they dry up, I can't tread water for very long. So let's see. So somebody posted an Army unit there. It looks like, anyways. There were Army units that did show up to the Battle of Najaf after the initial 3 days. So when the Battle of Najaf first kicked off, it was very much almost exclusively a Marine fight. And then the Army showed up to help us out because we were outnumbered. There's no question about it. We were absolutely fucking outnumbered, but we still took the fight to them, right? What wins the day for us? Well, freaking superior training, mindset, combined arms. We roll in there with our training combined with our weapon systems, and we're mechanized. We had AEVs and tanks and air support on station. So we took the fight into it, but at the end of the day, it's that individual infantryman having to close with on the Mahdi militia in that cemetery. So it's like, air support's great, but they're not able to take out the freaking Mahdi army militiamen that's sitting in a catacomb or hiding behind a bunch of tombs. Like, their flare's not seeing that stuff. It was a Marine closing with and destroying the enemy by fire maneuver in that cemetery that won the day. And that's mano y mano, man. That's freaking one-on-one, essentially. Freaking Marine infantrymen to, Mahdi militia infantrymen. So absolutely was a unbelievably tough fight. And so that's why, again, even though some of you that are, watching this and, might be seeing these shirts and be like, I wasn't there, I don't want to wear that shirt because that wouldn't feel right. Guys, I'm all about you wearing those shirts because it helps spread our legacy. Somebody might see that shirt and be like, oh, what was the Battle of Najaf? And then they look into it and they find out, the book Battle for the City of the Dead, or they read the Marine Corps History Division's publication on the Battle of Najaf. And, it helps spread our legacy and make these lesser known battles more known. There's so many fights in World War II. The average person might be able to name a few of them, but what about the lesser known fights, right? Everybody can talk about Iwo Jima and Guadalcanal. How many more islands were hit, right? The average person doesn't know about that stuff. So unless you're like a history buff and dive into that, you don't hear too much about that stuff. So it's just another way to help preserve our legacy and the legacy of the Marine Corps. So, in my opinion. So that's why I'm absolutely on board with, people freaking wearing Battle of Najaf t-shirts, man. Freaking tell our story. There's so many stories that need to be told that hadn't been told. So, honestly, in my opinion, like, the Battle of Najaf is one of the greatest stories never told. So, let's see what else we got. We got some stuff. All right. Let me go back. You ever consider living life not centered on war? Get the fuck out of here. What a pussy. Who else? If you don't mind me asking, what weapon system were you personally using during the battle? So I was a machine gun team leader. So we rolled out to the Najaf Cemetery. We rolled out there as part of a REACT force. At the time, I was a team leader. So a machine gun team consists of the team leader, a gunner, and an ammo man. So when we rolled out there, actually, now that I think about it, we were undermanned. We were not TO. And so what I mean by TO is like a machine gun squad is supposed to have a certain number of guys. In this case, it was 7, right? So you have your team leader, your gunner, your ammo man, and then you have a second machine gun team. Same thing, team leader, gunner, and ammo man. Then you have a squad leader. 7 Marines total. We were under TO. So I was actually a squad leader. But because we were under TO, we only had 2 men per machine gun team. I actually was a team leader / squad leader. So I was team leader / squad leader of one of the machine gun teams. So it was me and my gunner. And then we had another team of a team leader and gunner. And then we had one more guy whose name was Bonehead, or that was his nickname. His name is Bonilla, but I did a interview with Warfighters with him. You guys can watch that. And he kind of attached to our team as, filling in as the ammo man. So even though I was technically a squad leader, I was acting as a team leader / squad leader in there. So I had an M16A4 during the Battle on the Najaf. So I was with my gunner, and we were employing our M240 Golf medium machine gun, and during that fight. So what else we got? DJ has a pretty wordy comment here. DJ says he was there. One of the Iraqis you worked with over there, he can remember that he stood out as more of a squared away and a good fighter than others. Always liked hearing those stories. Let's see. We didn't really, my unit, or at least like my platoon, we didn't really have too many attached Iraqi National Guard. Every once in a while, we would attach them to do like a joint operation. But it wasn't like a left seat, right seat with those guys for us anyways. Other units 1-4 might have had more of a training mission. In fact, I think our original mission going into Iraq was partly to help train up the ING to take over Najaf. But, once the battle on Najaf kicked off, that kind of went out the window. So I really didn't work too closely with the ING other than doing a couple joint patrols and operations with them. So can't really talk about that, but we did have interpreters, and our terps are fantastic, good dudes. And we'd even let those guys carry weapons at times. So just depending on, what was going on or what was happening. So those guys essentially lived with us, and they were squared away guys. Let's see. Did you make it to the water presidential planet? I'm not sure what you're talking about, man. I've been in one of Saddam's presidential palaces. He had towards the end of my first deployment, we went to the city of Babylon. And the Babylon ruins was where the MEF headquarters was being set up. So literally where the old city of Babylon was, Saddam had started excavating into the ruins and excavating down, and a lot of it was uncovered. And then he started also rebuilding part of that, the walls and stuff that Babylon looked like at that time. So when we showed up, we could see, the famous Babylon statue with the lion standing over the guy, that was there. The actual a lot of the buildings that had been excavated, down to a street level. So we'd have to roll through there in our vehicles at night and during the day, and patrol through there to make sure nobody was coming in, and doing stupid stuff in those ruins. And that was rolling through there at night, guys. I'm telling you, you're driving through these old Babylon streets, and you're looking into buildings with windows and stuff that have been excavated. And dude, I'm telling you, the hair on my arms and back of my neck were standing up. You could just feel the presence, man, of spirits, ghosts. I don't know what you want to call it, but I felt something, man, going through those ruins. It was wild. And I remember a good buddy of mine that I served with. I saw him squatted down in a corner one time, and I'm like, what the hell's he doing? So I'm like, hey man, what are you doing over there? He's like, dude, come look at this. And I'm like, the fuck? I walk over, and he had this like rock with like hieroglyphics and stuff on it, and he was like copying what they were so that he could like look it up when he got back to the stateside. And it was wild. I mean, just some random rock he picked up off the ground, and it had the like hieroglyphics and stuff on it. So yeah, Babylon was wild. But anyways, I digress. There's a big hill, and on top of this big hill that overlooked the whole city was one of Saddam's palaces. So I did an interview with Warfighters episode with Doc Beltran. He was one of the platoon corpsmen, and there's a picture of him standing there with an M240, and you can see Saddam's palace in the background. But I went in there, and it was just massive. So yeah, one guy says that the green zone, I worked in Babylon with the Polish. Yeah, so the Polish showed up towards the end of my first deployment. They actually relieved us in Al Hilla. I've got a picture of me standing with some Polish guys because we did a left seat, right seat with those guys. So those guys were good dudes, man. Good dudes. There's another question that I got. Oh, let's see. So this guy says if you don't fight like that anymore, it's all drone. Yeah, that's bullshit. Go watch the footage in Ukraine. I mean, guys, talk about conventional war at its like peak. Like, look at the fighting going on in Ukraine now. It's freaking infantry and armored vehicles. I mean, it's just combined arms combat. Like, drones are just one aspect of that. And by the way, quit lying to yourself or convincing yourself that drones fly around the battle space with complete immunity. Like, there's no countermeasure to them. There's absolutely countermeasures to them. For every video you're seeing of a drone flying over and like dropping a hand grenade on top of, a couple dudes isolated, there's probably like 100 to 200 drones that were destroyed that tried to do the same thing. So, just don't forget you're getting, propaganda out there. Are drones absolutely a force multiplier? Yeah, absolutely. They're like artillery spotters, right? You go back to like the Civil War with hot air balloons going up, and they're able to see on the battlefield or the battlefield. That doesn't mean that, infantry and artillery is replaced. Quite opposite. Freaking drones have enabled artillery to reach levels, even greater than they were before, guys. Artillery is the king of freaking battle. That's what the bulk of the fighting in Ukraine is going on right now. Shooting artillery back and forth, both cannon and, HIMARS rockets and everything else. But there's vast amounts of freaking infantry combat taking place. So I don't know when you posted that comment. I'm not 100% sure if you were referring to like infantry combat when I was talking about describing like the Najaf cemetery, but there's absolutely infantry on infantry combat going on right now in places like Ukraine and, Israel and everything else. Like, it's like it's never been before, guys. It's intense right now all over the world. So grunts, individual infantrymen with rifles, machine guns, grenade launchers, and goddamn hand grenades is not going away anytime soon. So let's see. Digging through some of these comments. So this guy says, living in the U.S., we don't know what old is until we leave the U.S. Yeah, 100%. So our country is very young compared to some of these other places. So you going to Babylon, driving down the streets that probably Jesus freaking walked down. I mean, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy. DJ, drones definitely an asset as ISR. Yep, definitely, 100%. All right, guys, almost at an hour, so I'm probably going to wrap this up. Let's see. Another question here. How do you think the eventual combination between NVGs and thermals into one unit will affect war? It's probably going to be the norm. at least on the U.S. and probably peer adversaries. I remember being at the 40th anniversary semester at One Shepherd, and we had one guy on our side that had a combination. They were bridged NVGs and thermal. It was pretty cool. You look through it, and it was like your eyes are seeing two different images, but your brain is mirroring those over each other, right? So they worked in conjunction. It's let me put it this way. We just have to, like, nothing is becoming obsolete in terms of like Marine infantrymen, hooking and jabbing with a bayonet, right? I mean, fucking war is hell. Killing is killing. We're just enhancing capabilities, right? So for every enhancement, there's always a countermeasure, right? So every time we take one step forward in one aspect, you take another step forward in another aspect to counter that thing, right? In the end, you still have infantrymen hooking and jabbing and combined arms winning the day. You're not taking ground until you put boots on it. All right. So what am I talking about? Well, all these technologies facilitate us, right? Thermals, NVGs, and they're seeing on different spectrums. Yeah, the infantrymen in World War II didn't have, thermal and night vision capabilities that we have now, right? Modern infantryman has those capabilities, but what's happening on this side? Well, now we're seeing the development of, clothing, NIR compliant clothing and anti-thermal, cloaks and other means and, mechanisms to help reduce your, spectrum, your signature on certain spectrums to help mitigate or defeat, these types of technologies. Okay. I'll share this story and you guys can go watch this yourself. Years ago, went out to the Nevada desert with Dimitri, the guy who created the ACSS reticle. And we did a desert camouflage test out there. So I flew out there with Bruce and we took a bunch of different desert camouflage patterns. And while we were out there, we were like, hey, let's do a night vision test with all these desert camouflage patterns also to see what they look like under NVGs in the desert. So we did that. Guess which was one of the top performing freaking, I'm not going to say pattern, but like article of clothing. It literally was a Afghan man dress, a freaking little like Afghan man dress that I think we paid $20 on eBay or Amazon for. We put that sucker on. Bruce wore it. It was like a coyote brown kind of color. That shit was so freaking awesome under MVG. And I'm looking at it. We're all looking at it. We're like, wow. And you can see this in the footage. So for all this talk about like NIR compliant and all this other bullshit, dude, this was a freaking man dress that was probably made in China, to be quite frank. That was absolutely better than virtually everything we had out there, to include like my issued MARPAT utilities under those night vision capabilities. So if you don't believe me, go watch the video. Again, the desert night camouflage test that we did out there. Desert camouflage test. It's just part of it was, a night vision aspect. Go watch it. So yeah, pretty amazing stuff, right? So don't get too far deep. And I'm dealing with this crap right now. Every time I post something, it's like, is this NIR compliant? Fuck, I don't know, dude. Everything's different. It's not the camouflage pattern that's the how it looks under night vision. It's the material that's made of. So that's what some people have to, understand. Like, I do a camouflage effectiveness video. I'm doing it for the pattern. The camouflage pattern. The camouflage pattern is not what is like NIR compliant. All right. It's the material that the damn shit is printed on. All right. So there's no point in me doing a night vision test of a camouflage pattern because, depending on what that material, that uniform is made of, it might look differently under, NVGs. So, all right. So again, I'm getting close to wrapping this up. If you're going to please don't do the super chats, guys. I appreciate you. But go to the military Legacy Military Union's website that I have in the description box and donate there. If you do the super chats, YouTube takes like 30% of it. All right. So you're giving 30% of your donation to the freaking communists at YouTube. So, but I appreciate it. Thank you all for your generosity. 100%. Right. Blowing through this. Love your content, Brent. It's a bit older on list. Oh, when I'm a bit older on list and have the stories to tell, just like you. Appreciate it, brother. Let's see. Completely agree on the technology aspect. I love the content and info always helps. Appreciate you, man. Let's see. Must know what's best on our IR. I really don't, because again, guys, like, it depends on what the uniform itself is made out of. Not so much the camouflage pattern, but what it's made out of. Different stuff will show up differently. So, perfect example of that. Go watch the 40th anniversary video. Not the FTX one, but the one before it. For One Shepherd. And during, or maybe it is the FTX. I think it was our morning PT for the start of the FTX. Yes. So, 40th One Shepherd anniversary semester FTX. We started the morning with PT before we kicked off the FTX, and Les with Pegasus Test has this. I think it was a Sonics camera. It films in a different like night spectrum, and when he's filming, you'll see like some of the guys' uniforms. Even though we're all wearing OD utilities, right? Some of the guys bought some cheap Chinese made OD ACU cut utilities for One Shepherd because I think they were like $40 for the set off of certain websites. And you see, looking at those uniforms through that Sonics camera, that they look purple. They absolutely look purple, and they look completely different from like the dudes that are wearing those like proper brand uniforms. But it really puts in perspective like how the different manufacturers and their like clothing and stuff will give off a different appearance. Now, with that said, right, standing out in the open, absolutely, you're like, oh, it's glowing. It looks like shit, dude. Those dudes get out in the freaking tree lines. You're barely seeing them guys. So every time you see people talking about like NIR and it glows and all this other stuff, like, dude, you get out there in the woods and you start doing force on force training, and I can almost guarantee you're not seeing the enemy wearing glowing utilities. Like once those dudes are mixed in the environment, like even if their shit looks fucking glowing in the open, when you're freaking 10 feet away from them, they get out in the woods and they're using proper, concealment and everything else, covering concealment. Dude, it mitigates that shit real quick. So take it for what it's worth. But do certain garments look brighter in different colors than others? Yes, absolutely. And again, you can go to that video I talked about to see that for yourself. Let's see. Do you think it was because of the thick wool that I often use? I heard that the Afghan close thermal condition because of the thick wool. No. This was just a. I had heard about that, like that. Afghans up in the mountains were using like thick wool blankets and stuff to, help defeat flare from like drones and UAVs and stuff like that, or Apaches, whatever the case may be. What we were using was just some man dress. It might not even have been Afghan. It just it's the same type of garment that the Afghans wore, but it was like a coyote colored Afghan garment that, Bruce had bought off of either eBay or Amazon, one of those sites. And it performed amazingly under freaking night vision. So let's see. I've actually been very surprised how old school the war in Ukraine has been. They are using tons of grenades to clear trenches. Should be more satchel charges. Hey, also take note of like just how many of the videos you're watching where like dudes are just using regular bare bone iron sighted AKs. Yeah, there's a lot of optics, obviously, but there's a lot of guys. I watched a video last night and these guys were clearing trenches, and every single one of them had just regular iron-sighted AKs. So, it is what it is. Yeah. Yeah, it might be old school to some people, but like, hey, shit still works. You still freaking kill. Hey, I got news for you. Freaking red dot sees the same, uh, vision that iron sights do. There's no magnification, so red dot just helps you aim quicker. Nothing wrong with iron sights. I went to war twice with just iron sights. If it works, it works, especially in adverse conditions. Now, I'm an absolute proponent for optics. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that iron sights work. Trenches with overhead cover does a pretty good job of defeating night vision and thermal. Yes. And I did a infantryman's guide over defeating thermal recently, or at least mitigating it. So you guys can watch that video. But yes, terrain selection, overhead cover, canopy overhead absolutely mitigates all that stuff. So, and honestly, that's your number one thing, right? If you don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars in a budget that, purchases freaking anti-thermal reducing cloaks and all this other stuff, like fucking use the terrain to your advantage. Works every time. We had a guy go to One Shepherd one time, and he had built this. If you guys don't know, there's an old system called Land Warrior that the Army was developing back in like the 90s. And it looked ridiculous, but guy had like a fucking computer on his back, and his Kevlar helmet had all these attachments and like fucking flip down vision shits, and he had an OICW rifle, which was, I think it was a G36 with a like a 20 millimeter grenade launcher on top of it, with like cameras that he could like point his weapon around a corner and stuff, and like just crazy shit. Obviously it never materialized, because that stuff was being tested out in the 90s and we never got it. We had 20 years of GWAT and it never made it to it. Right. But we had a guy show up at One Shepherd, good dude, but he had designed essentially kind of like his own Land Warrior system. Like he had a thermal optic on top of his rifle, and it was somehow programmed in with his this eyepiece, that he made these ballistic glasses that had this like small camera in his glasses, where he could see the thermal image from his thermal optic mounted on his rifle. And, he got this shit. And this semester, it wasn't his first semester. It was like his second or third. So he was put in a team leader role. So during the semester at One Shepherd, the first part of the week is like some initial events, like a basic warrior course if it's your first time, or, if you're coming back, you're returning soon, you'll do like land nav or some other thing. But like the middle part of the semester is the situational training exercise, the STX. And that covers, some sort of curriculum, like a raid, or, sitting in the defense, or stuff like that. So that particular semester, I believe, was the raid. So this guy was in a team leader position. So he had 3 students underneath him that he was in charge of. So what ended up happening is he's doing the STX, they're doing a raid, and this dude ends up going like lone wolf, man, off by himself, trying to use his little Land Warrior. He just got sucked into this like little Land Warrior system, right? Well, he's got 3 other freaking warriors with him that he's supposed to be leading. Now, as a team leader, you're supposed to be using the fighter leader concept. Like, your guys are your weapon, right? So it's like, yeah, you have your own personal rifle and you can use it if need be, but really your 3 warfighters are your weapon, and you're supposed to be directing them on everything else. Where to move, where to shoot, where to engage, like closing with, giving them commands and stuff like that. This guy was so sucked into his technology that, he kind of abandoned what he was supposed to be doing as a team leader and started going off lone wolf on his own, trying to use his technology. And I think a lot of people go down that rabbit hole when they start seeing like drones and, thermals and all this other shit. They see this technology and they're like, oh my God, like war as we know it is over. This is the end all be all. Well, what do we see in Ukraine? Fucking trenches, hand grenades, rifles, right? Guys locating, closing with, and destroying the enemy by fire maneuver, clearing trenches. Fucking probably been a few E-tool kills there. So all that technology is still, it's there, it's relevant. But at the end of the day, it's still the individual infantryman and something that looks very similar to the way guys were fighting in World War I and World War II in modern times. We got a little bit better technology to facilitate some stuff, but what I'm saying is like, hey, the technology is there. It's enhancing our war fighting capabilities, but don't get sucked down it, because at the end of the day, you can sit there with your fucking little UAV drone glasses on, and the enemy closes with on you and fucking blast you right in the face because you're looking at some virtual reality goggles on your fucking head, not paying attention. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. So, rant over. Yeah, it was. So this guy says that the eyepiece for thermal concept does sound super cool. It was cool. I actually, I think I did like a little interview with him. I don't know if it was part of the One Shepherd video or if I did it separate. I can't remember. Several years back. It was a cool piece of gear, but this guy absolutely got sucked into his technology, and it was detrimental to mission accomplishment, really, because the raid force, he was probably tasked with attacking and clearing a portion of the defended enemy trench in that STX. And I don't know. I don't think like they probably didn't accomplish their respective objective because he, got sucked down in his technology and ended up not paying attention. His team, wandered off without leadership, proper leadership. So, another thing that we got to be careful of is the U.S. is getting so sucked into technology, and yes, it is a force multiplier, but it's not the end all be all. I mean, the Chi-Coms had the bodies, and we've seen repeatedly in history where just numbers overwhelms smaller technological forces, and the Korean War is a great example of this. We absolutely pushed into North Korea. We had the North Koreans on the verge of total collapse, and then the Chi-Coms intervened with their freaking millions of screaming Chinamen, right? And they did not have proper weapons and ammunition and gear and equipment to deal with the environment. And guess what? They still ended up pushing us out of North Korea back down south. Now, luckily, we were able to get our shit together and push them back. When they pushed us down into South Korea, we were able to push them back to the 38th parallel. But at the end of the day, like, we had the superior, training, weapons, and technology, and our guys were absolutely better equipped, and their numbers overwhelmed our guys. So, yeah, technology is great. It's fantastic, but be cognizant that just because some technology comes out where somebody's touting, oh well, now a squad of Marines can do what a platoon used to be able to do. Well, that freaking squad has still got to face off against freaking 100 freaking Chi-Com infantrymen closing with on them. All right, so just be careful, guys. Don't go too far down the rabbit hole of technology. All right, what else we got? The FPV kamikaze drones, might I add. I'm not sure what you're talking about. I know what those are. I'm not sure what you're referencing though. So yeah, those are popping up in Ukraine. So essentially, what it is a dude. He's got his little virtual reality goggles on. He's piloting this kamikaze drone. So it's a one-way trip. Oh, here we go. He says, reference previous comment. Let's see. Yeah, I definitely agree that technology often makes people feel safer than they realize they are. I remember seeing a Russian T-72 with a bunch of anti-drone electronic warfare junk on top of it, only to get destroyed. So it just depends, man. Like, they might not have had their electronic warfare stuff on, right? And what do I mean by that? Well, if they got their shit on and running, well, then their own side can't use their drones either. So sometimes they had to turn that stuff off so that they can use their own stuff. Like electronic warfare is just one aspect. There's other weapon systems that are dealing with drones. I mean, I honestly, my opinion, in the future, we're just going to see like little sentry guns. You guys remember that old movie Congo with the apes and stuff, and they sent up those sentry guns with like the little mini guns, and they're like radar equipped and everything, and they're on their perimeter. So like when all the apes came out and they're trying to infiltrate their perimeter, like these sentry guns are just turning and picking up the radar signatures and just engaging at will. Like I can see in the very near future stuff like that, like these little fucking sentry guns. And like when you have the little tiny cheaper first person view drones and the smaller drones and stuff coming in, these things are just they detect them and they're and just pop them out of the sky quick, just like the freaking Sea Whiz on a ship. Let's see, one guy says let's see, Brent, have you seen a Russian turtle tank being used in Ukraine? Looks dumb, but apparently it's working pretty well. No, I haven't seen. I don't know what a turtle tank is. I'll have to look that up. I have seen all the like makeshift stuff that they're doing to some of the vehicles over there to counter. Again, so it's like in Iraq, we roll in during the invasion. We got soft skin Humvees and no armor plating on the turrets and stuff. There's just a freaking like 50 cal or 240 mounted up there with nothing. And then you fast forward just a year later, man, there was armored kits making their way into theater to up armor vehicles. Dudes are like welding on steel to gun trucks and everything else. Like people adapt in warfare, and that all leads into the MRAPs and the MATVs and stuff like that with V-shaped holes to counter the IED threats. So it's like just because something is working well, at some point, a counter is not too far behind. But all right, guys, I'm going to wrap this up. So again, just let me recap the 20-year battle in the Najaf. I mean, OIF 1, OIF 2, 1st Battalion, 4th Marines reunion. But specifically, we're having it on the essentially the 20-year anniversary of the Battle in the Najaf. Reunion is coming up this year, and I'm playing a huge part in planning all that. We need your help, guys. Contributions are absolutely welcome. Please go to the website that I have linked in the information box, Legacy Military Reunions. There's a donation section on there. Please don't do super chats or anything through YouTube. YouTube takes 30% of the fucking the donation. I had a guy the last time I did this did a like a super chat. He donated $100, and fucking YouTube took $30 from that shit. So $30 to freaking Google. The freaking communists at Google is the same ones that are constantly going after gun content and everything else. So please don't give them any of your money, man. I'd rather you guys go straight to the Legacy Military Reunions, deposit it there. They're nonprofit, and that money will go 100% to paying for this amazing warfighter reunion. So we can get some freaking kegs of beer. These devil dogs can drink the freaking night away and reminisce. So, but yeah, so go there. I also have in the links in the, let me see. I got the website pulled up here. 1 second. So this will be my parting deal here. Almost there. Okay, so this is like the website. So that's where you can buy swag. So you guys can see we got the different colors. Just go up to, you can either go to donate. If you don't want to buy any swag, you can donate that way. Right? Or you can go to shop. And then you can see we have the different shirts. There's 2 different designs. There's the cemetery image on the back. That's the one I helped design, and DJ Metalhead Mercenary, you helped me with putting that together. And it's got the battalion logo, Marine Corps emblem, reversed American flag. And that comes in black, white, and OD green. Same is true with this one. This is a little bit different, but it's got a different type of logo. The 1st Marine Division with Iraq, and then it's got the Dragon, 1st Battalion, 4th Marines banners. It says on their 20th anniversary battle on Najaf, August 2004. It's got the legacy military reunions on one sleeve, and then the reverse American flag on the other. So again, you guys can check all this out. Also got hoodies, and the hoodies come in black and white, both different. The 2 different options. So that's it, guys. That will really help out with the reunion. So please check that out. Hope you guys enjoyed jumping on tonight. This was a ad hoc shoot from the hip live. I haven't done a live in a while just because I've been so busy with the reunion planning as well as trying to catch up on some of these other videos I've got. So stay tuned. Stuff's coming down the pipe. Appreciate everybody logging on tonight and watching. And I appreciate the interactive comments I've gotten from the audience. It's always been fantastic. So thanks, guys. And again, freaking buy our shit, wear it with pride, help keep our legacy, and spread the word about what our Marines and sailors did in combat in both 2003, 2004 Iraq. So thanks for watching, guys. Have a good night. Semper Fidelis. Keep finding